Gentlemen, please quickly introduce yourself and your company's role in the Open Gateway ecosystem. Maybe Pushpendra, start with you.
Yeah, I think I've been working with telcos for like 10 years before I joined Meta, and I definitely wasn't hired to do what I'm doing today. I was hired for growth programs and stuff, but looks like I think the industry has gone through a lot, and we saw that there's a promise in Open Gateway on how to authenticate users at scale, frictionless and stuff. So we're working with telcos across the world. We're working with the ecosystem across the world to find solutions which enable users to get onto our platforms frictionless, less fraud, reasonable, long-term, sustainable pricing. So I think that's what we've been working with the ecosystem for the last 4 to 5 years. And I'm pleased to say that I think we're moving in the right direction, but there's a lot of work to be done.
Very good.
Sorry, you take the lectern.
I'll take the lectern, right. Okay.
As I mentioned before, my name is Ezequiel Lopez. I'm the product director for Openxpand. Openxpand is a SaaS platform. It's a SaaS Open Gateway platform that enables operators to directly expose their network APIs. And since it's SaaS, it's just creating a tenant in the platform, and you can start exposing as an operator APIs just really, really quick, and in under a week, you can deploy Camara APIs. Now, something I always love to mention is that Openxpand is a joint venture between the largest operator in Argentina, which is Telecom Personal, and Intraway, which is a software company that develop products for telcos. And I like to say that Openxpand is a platform built together with an operator for operators. So it includes everything from the beginning: consent management, the developer portals, certified APIs. Everything is there because we work very close with our partner. And I think that's...
Yeah, thanks a lot. I'm Peter, the Chief Commercial Officer of a company called Aduna. I hope that you know who we are. In case you don't, we are a small, tiny little startup which just recently got found. Talking about our investors, that's probably what is then more interesting about Aduna. We are backed by AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, Deutsche Telekom, Vodafone, Orange, Telefonica, Airtel, Jio, KDDI, Telstra, and Singtel. So together with Ericsson. So that means that the telco industry came together to solve something Eddie alluded to earlier when he was on stage, that he said, we don't have a demand problem, we have a supply problem. And that supply problem led to the challenge that network APIs not really had been a success for the telco industry in the past because there was no standardization, there was no scale out, and that led to the challenge. And with that, Aduna was formed. And I think, Eddie.
Hi, everybody. Again, sorry, 3 minutes late. I'm Eddie DeCurtis. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Shush. Shush is an enablement, business in a box, complete total solution for mobile network operators to launch APIs at scale in market in less than 90 days, full feature from everything from all the Camara network authentication APIs, as well as additional APIs on top of it that are being consumed currently today. Carriers can be future-proofed and have full standardized Camara solutions, right, from the beginning to the end. So we're really excited to be here with such a great panel and at Mobile World Congress.
And apologies for taking your chair, Eddie. Let me start by, we've seen some nice examples of some successes with silent authentication, anti-fraud, use of SIM swap APIs, and know your customer, and so on. But how do you measure the value of those applications from your different perspectives in the ecosystem? Maybe Pushpendra, let's start at the end customer. How do you measure the value of this?
So I think we started using the first set of APIs probably 18 months back, and I think we probably were the very early starters on that because of the issues we faced largely on conversion, fraud, and AIT and stuff. I think there's a merit in it because I think it provides a superior customer experience. Our early results show that there are less or minimal fraud suspectical, but I think still on IPs, I think there's work to be done on that. The second good thing is what we're seeing is like the operator ecosystem is also moving fast on that. But to say to all of that is like, we are currently live in 15, 16 countries. We are still learning, I think, because there's a lot to be unboxed, because I think there are situations on like Wi-Fi users, there's situations on dual SIM handsets, there's situations on roaming, right? And I think if someone has to go onto this path, a seamless experience should be for the consumer at all times. There shouldn't be something called fallback, like someone is on silent auth and still you have to send a SMS fallback to take care of it, right? So I think there's a lot to be done. The promise is good. The promise is great for the ecosystem. And looking at all that what we have learned, we released a white paper in January on our findings for the last 18 months of trials we have done. And I think that largely tells like what we have learned, what do we believe are the biggest blockers in the industry, and where should the industry largely move on to. But again, as I said, we are very optimistic about it, but we are cautiously optimistic as well, because we're just still seeing there is a good 20-30% of the base which doesn't get working on that. There's new tech coming in to take care of the Wi-Fi and all this stuff, but again, I think we need to see something which works in Zambia to Tokyo, and I think that's where the problem is. So I think that's what we're largely looking at.
Okay, so still a little bit experimental, but good so far. Yeah. Zico.
Oh, okay. Well, in Latin America, we are seeing most of the demand in anti-fraud and mobile identity, as it was mentioned in the previous presentations. But we're seeing an increase in the volume, right? The volume of the transactions from banks, mobile wallets, and also now operators are using some other APIs, like for example, device status, to validate if a customer is in roaming and send campaigns. And also, we recently did a pre-production POC in an event with the Quality on Demand API for like 85,000 attendees in the event. And that's another API that operators can monetize. Right?
Peter?
So let's face it, out of these 47 APIs, the most relevant one at the beginning are still the ones all around authentication and fraud prevention. And this is where you can really measure success. So when it comes to authentication, if you just listen to TikTok talking about their experience where they reduced the steps for a sign-on process from 13 to 7, they can automatically calculate the pickup rate and the success rate on the onboarding process. So for them, this is a very good return on invest, since they are into growth and they would like to ensure that users sign on. If you look at the banking space, and there let me refer to the Global Anti-Scam Alliance and their numbers. So last year there was fraud just enabled, unfortunately, through AI of more than 60 billion in the US. So, and on the other side, we have an API called Scam Signal in the UK, which reduced some sort of fraud by 40%. Now do the math and ask yourself whether, as a bank, that shouldn't be an interesting case you would like to get interested in.
Very good. And Eddie?
Peter, you're 100% correct. People asked me when we started this company, why are we only focused on network authentication? S&P Global had the best slide ever. 97% of all money spent is on authentication use cases. Of all the APIs, of a $12.5 billion market. So like the old bank robber said, why do you rob the bank? Because that's where the money is, right? But scam and spam and all this stuff that's going on, we just saw a press release that came out. It's over $1 trillion business today. So it's literally starting to compete with the illegal drug trade. That's how big the fraud is, right? And Peter is 100% correct. It's super easy because the mobile network operator needs no net new equipment, no net new cost to offer network authentication APIs in the market today. Now, when you get into QOD and QoS and all these great other Chimera APIs, there is an infrastructure issue there. So the money is being spent, the fraud levels are through the roof, and we have to mitigate that. And everything from, like you just said, great, was TikTok going from what was 13 to 7. Soon it's going to be 1-2 clicks, and you're going to be done. And that's the beauty about what these APIs bring to not only a social media site, but let's think about mobile banking and fintech. Just one quick example, the 3 largest cryptocurrency fraud, like stolen cryptocurrency, was done in the United States. They did 3 SIM swaps and robbed $500 billion. 3 SIM swaps. And here's the secret, guys. The only place in the world to get that information is from the mobile network operator. Apple doesn't have it, Google doesn't have it, nobody has it but the mobile network operator. And that's the only way to stop it.
Great. Okay, thank you, Eddie. There are, Peter, you mentioned 47 APIs. I'm surprised you didn't list them all, actually, but perhaps even your memory is not possible with that. But so there's a lot more than are currently really being used in commercial practice today. But some of the more advanced APIs, like quality on demand, we've seen lots of very interesting potential use cases. Ezekiel, you mentioned that they're starting to be used. What are you most excited about, and what are the remaining commercial and technical challenges?
With quality on demand, but the main the product that the operator was selling there was a specific product for influencers, because when you're in a venue and you have a lot of attendees, you know, if they want to be transmitting in 4K, that was the use case. That's the way, and the way to. It wasn't that complex from the network perspective. Obviously, as Eddie mentioned, requires infrastructure provisioning, but. I don't think it was a really complex technical issue. The thing is finding the business value of the product you're selling, and in this case, it was successful because they really need to be able to transmit live in 4K, now in the future in 8K, and it's very simple to do that with the quality on demand API. There is also a simpler API, quality of provisioning API, quality of service provisioning that you can use also. That is a little simpler, but. Yeah, I think it's a new way to monetize the network.
Great. Pushpendra, I know Meta is also experimenting with some of the other APIs as well. What are you excited about?
So I think we are testing some APIs at very, very early stage. I definitely can't name which ones those are, but we are testing with like 5, 6 operators. But at current point of time, I think it's a very low signal we have on like how we will use them. So it's very, very early stage. I think on Silent Auth, we have high confidence that I think it works well, and I think once the issues on Wi-Fi and all those are solved at scale. But other APIs like KYC, SIM swap, number verify, different versions and stuff, number recycle, are something we are trying in different operators, but at very, very early stage. Because I think we also need to look at like how does that help our business at scale in days to come. But yes, we are testing them with different markets, and probably again by the next 4 to 5 months, we will have some sort of a white paper on this, on what we believe how those APIs can at least be used by social media companies or the e-commerce companies as we largely learn on that. But very, very early days, again, because of the fact that it's not available everywhere. And there are a lot of regulatory and legal foundations when you start using other APIs beyond it, right? So I think there's a lot of work industry has to do to make it seamlessly available for even like testing at scale and stuff. So I think there's work to be done. But again, like there are maybe 28 APIs today. There might be 50 tomorrow, but I think the process would be understand them more. We largely identify which ones work for us before we like executing it at scale and stuff. So there is a path there, but there's a promise.
Yes. Okay, Peter, you've got a kind of global perspective, so you're probably seeing...
Push, thanks a lot. Yeah. You have given me such a great segue into my comment on this one. Exactly, this is why Aduna was found. So if you, as a customer, would like to entertain your relationship with all of the carriers, with all of the regulators, with all of the different interpretations of data privacy, go for it. I mean, it's a lot of fun. You can employ a lot of people. So if you want to make your life a little easier, talk to us, because this is the reason why Aduna had been found. I had to take that opportunity. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
And while you're there, Peter, just tell us a little bit about where else you're seeing the more advanced APIs beginning to be used worldwide.
Yeah, actually, I'm the bullish guy in me here. I mean, really talks about where's the money in 2026, and this is all around authentication and fraud prevention. I mean, the possibilities are huge, and everyone talks about QOD. I think we have to overcome, especially for the high-performance workloads, some challenges. Not talking about the low-performance workloads, the payment terminals and stuff. So I continue to stay for this year on fraud prevention and authentication.
And that's exactly right. And you know, we're filling that gap with the mobile operators. We've got to get those operators up. 35, I have a whole bunch more coming, right? That's going to keep increasing, right? We've fixed the Wi-Fi issue. So Dito launched with 7 versions of Number Verify, including TS43. We were the first company in production utilizing the GSMA standard to the letter. So it's available today on all the carriers that are currently utilizing the Shush platform, everything from Viatel to StarHub to 4 smaller carriers in the United States who are a great partnership with Clear Sky, as well as carriers that we're working with in Latin America and the last carrier in the UK, and just recently announced one in New Zealand. So they will have all the APIs that you're going to want and need. Or they're going to partner with a great company like Aduna that they don't have to maintain it, or Twilio or Cinch or Infobip. They're going to be able to consume those APIs on day one of what they need as a brand. And then the carriers are then future-proofed, and the regulatory rules and the legal rules and the privacy rules are all cared for.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're almost out of time, but I just wondered if anybody would like to comment on, you mentioned one of the technical challenges which has been overcome, Eddie, which is with TS43 combined with the Open Gateway standards, you end up being able to do the silent authentication over Wi-Fi as well as the mobile network. But what are the other technical challenges that where the industry needs to collaborate on? Does anyone have a strong view on that? Peter?
Let me actually get started not with the technical one, because even if for me this is a revolution that we've found and that the industry came together, still this industry is in competition mode. And if you had been super successful as the uncarrier and you had beaten the market because you did exactly the opposite to what the others did, this is not successful for network APIs. So we need to get that mindset shift done, that this is about collaborating, this is about jointly generating that business model and not about competition. So this for me, in addition to the technical ones, we have seen consent, there are monitoring, enabling things, but that for me is probably the biggest one.
So perhaps the commercial, going to global scale with the help of aggregators like Aduna, that's the key challenge we need to address. Any final comments?
Okay. Now, related to technical challenges, obviously, Daddy mentioned that solved number verification was a technical challenge. For the more complex APIs that you need infrastructure is also a technical challenge. But there is also a challenge when you want to reach all the operators in a region in the same country and work as an aggregator. And sometimes the timelines are not the same for all operators. So it gets to get the full country, sometimes it can be hard, and that's something that's why we also offer Openxpand as a platform to operators to make that easier, and all operators in a country or a region can easily expose the Camara APIs, and then you can sell to the B2B customers one entry point for all the customer, for all the operators in the country.
Yeah, I think so it makes sense. So I think my larger concern is like the coverage at some point of time, because for a company like us with 4 billion users, we want a similar experience across the world for our users, and we don't want that. So that's one concern. And second, I think on technicalities, I think there's a lot to be done. And again, I think I will just point people towards our white paper. It clearly defines like where we are facing friction. And I think once the industry solves for it, I think there's a lot to be done.
Great. Final word, Eddie?
Real quick, I just think it's not a technical challenge. There's technical challenges, don't get me wrong. I think it's a mindset challenge too. These mobile operators, need to change their mindset of what's possible, right? So technical, we'll get there. It's the mindset we got to overcome.
Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. And